Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. To get ahead today, you have to be a jerk, right? Divisive politicians, screaming heads on television, angry campus activists, Twitter trolls. Today in America, there is a whole industry, an outrage industry, if you will, that makes a profit by setting American against American. Meanwhile, 1 in 6 Americans have stopped talking to close friends and relatives over politics. Millions are organizing their social lives and curating their news and information to avoid hearing viewpoints that differs from their own. Ideological polarization, let's call it, is at higher levels than at any time since the Civil War. America has developed a culture. America has developed a culture of contempt, a habit of seeing people who disagree with us not as merely incorrect or misguided, but as worthless. Maybe you dislike it. More than 9 out of 10 Americans say they are tired of how divided we've become as a country. But hey, either you play along or you'll be left behind. Right? Wrong. It's time for us to stand up. In a book just published by Arthur C. Brooks, who I love Arthur C. Brooks. I love his reading. I love to read what he says. I've listened to him on TED Talks. He's president of an influential Washington, D.C. think tank. And a noted author, a noted editor. He argues that bitter divisions that exist in America aren't caused by anger, but by contempt. And they can't be solved by civility and tolerance. What he says, to avoid the vitriol, to avoid the hatred online and in the public square, Americans must embrace a radical command given by Jesus, which is also the title of his new book, Love Your Enemies: How Decent People Can Save America from the Culture of Contempt. In the book, he advocates that love flows from actions, not a fleeting sentimental feeling. And he believes that Americans should develop deep and loving relationships with people who are much different than them. Now here's the key. To do that, we need to use our values as a gift, not as a weapon. That doesn't mean that we should ignore our differences or stop disagreeing with each other. In fact, he does believe that disagreement and competition, when done right, can strengthen both individuals and institutions. Disagreement, he says, can even strengthen a marriage that is founded on the perfect friendship, what he calls the perfect friendship, which Aristotle described as having a shared sense of what is virtuous and true. In previous Meaningful Mondays, we've talked about Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. We've talked about what we refer to in the Empowered Wealth Mindset as red R, green R, that the event does not have to determine the outcome. Red R is where we react, coming from the amygdala, where somebody says something and we fight to be right and we fight back. And we react from here, not from this part of our love part of our brain, but from our fear of fight or flee part of the brain. And when we react, we give control over, and we actually perhaps give control to contempt. We surrender that within ourselves and put it out here to be a barrier between us and others. When we stay in green R is characterized by gratitude. It's characterized by curiosity. And it's characterized by a pause, where we sit back and say, I wonder what's going on in their lives. I wonder why they would say something like that. And when you move into gratitude and curiosity, what you're doing is you're now giving power to love within yourself. You're not surrendering a power to someone else or to something else. It's extremely powerful. So this week, step back, pause, think of green R, think of moving over into that space of love and understanding. You know, there is a big difference between disagreeing and being disagreeable. Have a meaningful week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.